my children now.
Hello and welcome to Real Horror Show. This is Conor McMahon and I'm joined on my left by...
Conor Dowling.
And Mark Sheridan.
And Ali Horror, because you're all lame and you don't go by your horror names.
Yeah, it's been a while, you can tell, since we've
we're a
been
little rusty.
on air. Yeah. So did everyone have a good Halloween?
I was away for Halloween. I went on a Halloween-inspired American road trip, which is something I've always wanted to do. Me and my girlfriend went to America for like 12 days. I'm still missing it dreadfully, but we had an amazing time. We stayed in a cabin in the woods.
Oh, amazing.
We went to Salem and did all the Halloween-y stuff, which is like the home of Halloween. There was some really creepy
I mean,
stuff.
we were just talking about this, the home of Halloween. It's also the home where they murdered
Yeah.
a lot of women. And
a lot of innocent women under the
accused
guise
them.
of
So-
Original
superstition.
witch hunts.
So
like,
a bunch of people who turned out not to be witches.
Allegedly.
They were killed for being witches, as everyone knows, but now the town celebrates witches and it's like an industry there. So you go there on October and it's the busiest month of the year. But
Is it candlelight walk or something?
there's
they do?
candlelight walk, there's
Oh,
tours
amazing.
everywhere. It's really cool. It's really interesting. And the town itself, as well as being steeped in that type of history, it has lots of like spooky stuff that's happened there over the years. But like, I mean, even just walking around the town, like we were walking through the town and this guy in a scary ass original Pennywise outfit
Oh my god.
steps out of the bushes and just says nothing, and we're just like, hilarious, man. That's really funny, because you know all that stuff you hear about clowns like coming after people in the news. But like, you know, this is while loads of people are going around in costume, but we were terrified. And there was this guy dressed as Michael Myers,
Oh, amazing.
and I don't know if they have them over here, but they have these like
killers?
Halloween toys. They don't have that many serial killers over here, thankfully. No, they have these Halloween like weapons that play the music from the movies. Like, so he's just like walking around with like the John Carpenter music like blaring out of his machete or whatever he had, you know. But yeah,
Can't believe you thought like machete with
Can't
Michael
believe
Myers.
you didn't bring one
just-
home for
I'm
us.
crossing genres here. I'm crossing characters here, but lots of cool stuff in American Halloween and saw some cool movies as well. But
And-
unfortunately, I missed all of the cool stuff here in Dublin. I missed
Wait, tell them who you were for Halloween and what you did.
Of course, everyone knows my favorite film is The Shining. Yeah. So I dressed up as Jack Torrance for a time and went
Not
to Times
just
Square.
Jack Torrance.
Frozen Jack
Frozen
Torrance.
Jack Torrance.
Yes.
You let it go.
did you just sit on a couch?
Yeah, it was a mixture of Elsa from Frozen and Jack Torrance. But I obviously I missed like the Horror-thon and Horror Expo and our live podcast, which I was devastated to miss.
I also missed that.
How did the live podcast go, guys?
Yeah, curious.
It was
good
good.
fun.
Yeah, no, it was. Like, you guys were definitely missed. I think... we kind of just generally talked. It was kind of like our first podcast did here was just kind of like favorite horror films and everything like that. And
Yeah.
then more sort of Zoe and Dave Turpin kind of giving their kind of thoughts, because I guess they were the new voices.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
knows what you and me think, Connor.
But it is something we should do as well, is try to get some
Totally.
guests on in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
Of
And
show.
more live ones,
Yeah,
Definitely
exactly.
Stephen Shields.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Can't believe we're on our podcast discussing
Yeah,
listening
no, I
to
really
our
want to see it.
podcast.
I really want to see it.
But yes, well, we're checking out if you missed it.
Awesome.
Connor Mack, what did you get up for Halloween?
Rocky Horror.
Oh yeah,
Went
of
to
course.
see
Sharon.
once a year, dressed up, put the corset on. I wasn't going to, but Ali convinced me. Her enthusiasm for me dressing up.
I know he came with a polo, like a long sleeve polo shirt, and I just looked at it and I was like, no. I took out like a lacy t-shirt and I was like, here, put this
And in
on
2
here.
minutes, I was like, oh, that's a lovely leather skirt.
Sharon looked absolutely fabulous. She
really?
slayed it.
But shout out to
Diva.
like the Rocky Horror in Sugar Club, because they've
Yeah.
been going for years, and they really, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe Rocky Horror, isn't it? For people who haven't experienced it, you kind of just have to go and enjoy it, even if you think it's kind of not for you, because I saw it back in Harold's
dress
Cross
up?
days.
Oh, amazing.
And no, I didn't even know really what it was. I thought it was kind of a horror film we were going to see in the cinema.
Oh, okay.
And I had no idea even the participation at that stage. I was only about 16, so it was really quite a shock. But just, I don't know, everyone I've introduced it to, when they go in and just relax and just enjoy it, have the best time ever.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and I really think anyone would, you know, it's not don't let I think people perceive that it's not for them, or even just the crowd participation might put them off. Just go, if you want to be quiet, you can be quiet. You can have as much fun as you want. And Sarah Cleary runs just such a great show there. I really, really recommend. I think they still do it a couple of times a year, don't they?
In Harold's Cross.
I've seen the movie so many times. I absolutely love the movie, and I showed it to all my friends when I was a teenager, and they all thought it was insane.
Yeah.
But somehow I've never been to a live show, and I'm dying to go see it. I really want to go.
It's great fun. Because I love the film as well. I watch it quite happily at home, but it's only by having seen it live, just knowing some of the lines and stuff like that. It makes you love it more. It really does. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. I think it looked like a packed house as well.
Oh my god, it was jammers.
Yeah.
It was literally jammers. But it's an amazing experience. And that movie is just. I have it tattooed on my leg, so it just goes to show how much I love
the
it.
entire script of the film.
The entire script. And Frankfurt.
I also got a Halloween tattoo.
Oh my god, yeah.
Show us.
So it's...
Oh, yes.
So
Are you
I'm
reaching
going
pumpkin?
to describe
I thought he was
this.
reaching for
So
his
Conor
bum just there.
he's pulling up his trousers.
Oh, cool! It's like a pumpkin with an axe in it.
It's not an axe. It's a knife.
Why does it have?
What is with me and
Why
weapons
does
today?
it have is it?
It's
just
the pumpkin
shadow?
from the start of Halloween.
No, but why does it have
nice.
a black ring around its nose, or is that just the shadow? I'm looking
That's
at.
shading.
Oh.
Where did you get it done? Shout
I
out.
need to...
Shit.
That's permanent, right? I got it done with the horror book club I'm in, Fright Club.
Oh, cool.
And 9 of us.
Yeah, talk to us about that, Conor. Actually, you've never really mentioned it.
So 9 of us decided to get different pumpkin tattoos on the same day. So each person got a kind of a different type of pumpkin. So yeah, it was good.
That's
fun.
so cool. It kind of spoils my news though. I got a Chucky tramp stamp in America. But
Oh my god, show us.
I didn't really.
Oh. I believed you with all of my being.
A tramp stamp, really?
Yeah. Looks so good on you.
That's so cool though, man. Fair play.
Whoa,
Where did you get it done?
In Tala Ink.
Okay, tell me.
Was it horrific?
Yeah, we all used the same needle as well. It's like we're a proper cult now.
To add to the horror of the whole thing.
Oh shit.
With ink made of blood.
I gotta say, actually, for Halloween, I want to talk about the movies in a moment, but the last couple of years, I've been living in Rathmines, and before that I was living in town, and Halloween had seemed to have lost the whole kids going around having fun, which is something I found it kind of sad, because when I was younger that was a really big thing. But we just recently moved up to Ticknock, just out past Sandyford, and it was it's kind of a slightly more younger families thing. It was insane. We had 80 kids within an hour and a half came to our door. And it was mad. It was just like something out of, E.T. when you see gangs of people walking on the streets. Yeah. The whole area was just gangs of kids, and they were dressed up as traditional things. They were witches, they were Frankensteins, they were vampires, as well as some Marvel heroes. So it wasn't just, pretty costumes or anything like that. And they were really into it and really enjoying it. It actually it kind of really brought back that feeling of the fun of Halloween used to be, with the games and stuff that you go and play, Dunking for Apples, whatever like that. Yeah. But I was just glad to see that seems to having a bit of a comeback, or maybe it's just because I'm in a different area, because it's just something I think it's wonderful, especially because Ireland, the whole Samhain or Samhain, depending if you're watching some Halloween films. It's wonderful to have that tradition. I'd love to see it grow. I wish we had official bonfire kind of places and stuff where it could be done relatively safely, but
less
we should
danger,
be in the same way that Salem does its candlelight. We should be embracing these kind of things,
Well, one of the there were so many things in America happening around Halloween that were really community orientated, that I was I'd love to bring all this shit back. Even just every business on a main street of a little town has pumpkins and haystacks and stuff outside it, and all the lampposts have dummies with Halloween masks on them and stuff. It's all for the kids. And then there was the Saturday before Halloween, we were in Long Island, and just the entire town had kids and families trick-or-treating around all the businesses. So all the shops will put out sweets, and kids and parents are all dressed up in costumes going around. It's I don't think I've seen anything like that in Ireland, you know? And it was just such a nice community thing to see.
We are getting better, I think, because you got obviously the Bram Stoker Festival, as well as having the Horrorthon, the IFI, as well as the Horror Expo and Sunday. So I guess we are building them up, but I think we could definitely be doing more, because I love that side of Irish culture, the fairy tales and stuff. We really should be leaning into that more.
I know. How many times have I said it? We literally are a cultural epicenter for all things horror, all things. Again, we invented Dracula.
I'm
We
I
reading-
never
did.
stop saying that.
I'm reading Dracula at the moment, actually, for the
How are you
first time.
finding it?
Oh, great. It's
Really?
Tough
How
stuff.
far have you gotten? Yeah, because like I love the first couple of chapters. I know this sounds blasphemous, but like there's a lot of journals in the middle and
it
letters.
is a journal. It's like
Yeah, but you know when the doctors start communicating with each other, it's not even the main characters.
spoilers.
You know, They'd like you know, because those first few chapters are fantastic.
Oh yeah,
you
with
know,
Parker in the castle,
Yeah,
amazing.
that really I love. But I have to admit, I've never managed to finish.
It's
it.
funny, I've always been a fan of the Dracula movie. I've always been a big, massive fan of that. In recent years, I've heard lots of people saying that it's not that good.
wait,
Which-
are we,
yeah,
are we,
which
are we
one?
talking about
Oh,
Bram
it's,
Stoker?
Bram Stoker,
Like
sorry, yeah, of
Francis
course.
Ford.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I went to the Bram Glam in the Lighthouse.
Yeah.
For
How was that?
Dracula. Okay, first of all, totally agree with you. I love that movie. I think it's fantastic. It's such a homage to like old cinema and old horror movies. Oh my god, I literally wanted to kill every single person. I didn't mind going
Were
to
they
prison.
giggling and laughing?
They
giggling
were
like
laughing every time
morons.
Keanu Reeves came on screen. I was that jabroni in the audience going shh.
Why are you laughing?
Yeah,
What's
I
wrong with you
couldn't-
people?
I literally, guys, I'm not ashamed to admit this. I was so pissed off. I took a nap.
Oh, shit.
I literally took a nap.
That's like a fuck
it
you
does
to the
annoy me
film
with
and
older
the
films
audience.
where people decide that they're going to laugh ironically the whole way through. I don't
Yeah.
mind them kind of like even a small snigger to themselves. We all have
Yeah.
moments
Yeah,
like that,
of course.
but it's people going out of their way to
Out of their
yeah,
way.
you know.
and to
make it about
exactly.
them. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like when we went to see Hellraiser, and I mean that is, you know, it's an amazing film, but it's also very comical, especially.
But
yeah,
unintentionally
where's the
so.
comical? I think Hellraiser is
It's-
great.
Were you at the
amazing.
screening?
No,
who
I
was at the
couldn't make it.
screening?
we were the
Three
three
of
of us were
us.
me,
Yeah.
Connor, and
Yeah.
Ali. Yeah, it was. I hadn't seen. We'd all seen Hellraiser
Yeah.
before, obviously, and
Jesus
loved it.
wept.
But like, what a weird mixture of like amazing gore.
Yeah.
Like the gore, and you never see anything like it. It's disgusting and it's
Still disturbing.
Still
is,
disturbing,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
so realistic looking, and it's like nothing you've ever seen before as well. That's like all Clive Barker stuff, but
Yeah.
it's such a mixture of all of that cool stuff. And a pretty cool story, but like the acting and some
my
of
God.
the dialogue
Yeah.
like is
Really?
But
ridiculous.
I have to say as well, like obviously only ever having like I first saw that on VHS, so I've never seen it on a big screen, and actually seeing it on a big screen didn't do what normally seeing something on a big
look at
screen
me.
does. Don't look at me.
I love
Why
that
aren't
line.
you looking at me? Like you know when she goes into hell and there's this creature, this kind of like scorpion worm thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can see the people pushing
mechanics of
behind,
Okay.
and I genuinely
Really? I didn't
never
notice that.
noticed that before on a small screen, and then seeing it on the big screen I was like, oh
But it was that thing as well. Do you know when the film starts and suddenly the whole audience is laughing and you're going, oh my God, I never realized before. Like a lot of time it can get away with it when you're watching it on VHS, but you know in some films they do date.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
you say, the acting of the two leads isn't great.
No.
And it played like people were genuinely laughing from the start of the film
Yeah.
till the end.
But it like
And
so,
I-
a lot of the drama and a lot of the sex kind of scenes in it played like a softcore porno. Like
yeah, they were
Like-
very sweaty.
But that is quite like because Clive Barker's always been the
Yeah.
sexual and the kind of
Yeah.
sexual
BDSM
perversion.
and-
Yeah, it is
yeah.
like you know it's
But when I say softcore
and I think
porno,
he sees humor. Like I don't think like because there's definitely a sense of humor. It is very very dark in the Hellraiser films, but there,
no, this is an unintentional.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
acting is dodgy here.
like
humor.
the dad, like he is just
come
like
to daddy.
Oh yeah.
it's so unintentional. And even there's this scene near the start where it's such a weird thing to do. It's like this sex scene that the wife is having with the brother, spoilers, and then that scene, that flashback is intercut with the husband in present day moving the couch up
Yeah,
the stairs.
scratching his hand on the nail.
Yeah, but he's like pushing the couch upstairs like ugh, ugh, and then they're like grunting and panting in their like softly lit sex scene, and then it climaxes with the husband
Good word
ripping
there.
his nail, ripping his hand on a
yeah.
nail,
Yeah.
and that made me laugh out so loud, but
Yeah.
no one else laughed, and it was.
Really?
But I think I went like, oh yes.
you did something hilarious. I can't remember quite what the moment was, but it was really inappropriate when you were like, oh yeah.
It was that moment.
And it was like then cut to a sex scene, and it was just the cinema was quiet.
It was like
for
a
once
record scratch.
in the
Yeah.
entire.
That was the one bit no one else laughed at.
Yeah. And Connor was like, oh yes.
I was yeah.
Can we talk about the Hellraiser series actually even briefly? Because
Yes.
it's this weird one for me because I really like
Love it.
Hellraiser. I love Pinhead,
Yep.
and I kind of love the franchise, even though there's not many good films in it. But I keep feeling there is more good films that could come from that. I just think of all the franchises, it's the one that hasn't had
I'm going to
its chance.
to not agree with you, but agree with you.
Okay.
The first three, I think are like they're like beautiful cheeses. They're so cheesy but delicious, and I can't get enough of them.
No, 2 is fantastic in its own way.
2 is amazing.
3, I love the pillar and all that is incredible
I know, it's
imagery.
amazing.
But
And the guy
CD
with
Man
the-
is a little bit.
What's the one
weaker.
with Adam Scott in space?
4th is Space.
Is it
Bloodline.
young Adam Scott?
Yeah, it's really.
Wow, I've only seen the first.
No,
I've only seen
4th
the
is
first
a
one.
mix because the 4th is like the origin story of the box, so it's back in the oldie times, and then the rest of it's in the future in space with Pinhead in space.
It works.
It does actually. No, it's
works.
an interesting idea,
Yeah.
and I actually like Inferno with the 5th one, where it's kind of a grizzled noir cop kind of story. It's very Silent Hill-y type
Right.
thing, and again, the film isn't perfectly successful, but they were kind of doing different things each time, which you admire, as opposed to say the Friday the 13th, where it was pretty much the same thing every time. It just never quite got there. They didn't get like.
What's the 5th one about? I've not seen it.
It's literally just a cop who's investigating. I don't know if he's a private detective or a cop, but he's investigating these murders, which obviously kind of turn out to be
the Cenobites.
yeah, in connected. But of course, as he gets closer to it, he starts to have these visions and fantasies. So like he's seeing like women, and all of a sudden they're kind of sexy female Cenobites with their hands underneath their skin, kind of massaging each other. It's that whole like he's been lured into this dark and twisted world, and it's corrupting him as he's going. It is worth checking out. It was like I think the first direct to DVD or video probably at the time of them, and then the later ones like it was a Pinhead in a computer game.
There's more.
Yeah, there is. And
There's
Kirsty
a
comes
lot.
back from the first one in 7, I think. It's like there's Hellraiser Deader, Hellraiser Inferno is 5, Bloodline was 4. What was the one that Hell World or something? I think is the computer game one. But like they were all scripts that weren't Hellraiser ones, where they just wrote in 5 or 6 pages of Pinhead.
Yeah.
And the film itself just carried on itself, and then obviously the last
Well,
one
you
was
can
just
even
the
argue
worst
that with the
thing on
original, though.
earth.
The original only had about like 10
Oh, yeah.
minutes of hell.
Yeah, of Pinhead particularly, like he wasn't even Pinhead, he was like the lead Cenobite.
Can we talk about the actual character of
Let's
Pinhead?
talk about it.
In the second one, yes, the second one where we see that is it the second one where we see that Pinhead was actually a officer in World War II?
where we find out his past. I'm pretty sure it's 2.
Yeah, so like I mean,
Didn't know that.
No, you
Yeah.
get to see him like.
I don't think
No?
I've seen the other Hellraisers.
Oh, Legend
I've
of
only
the
seen the
Trilogy.
first one.
oh
yeah.
shit, sorry,
No.
totally spoiled everything for you.
The second one is actually amazing because it just
really
goes
good.
into pure fantasy. So like literally they go into the box.
go into hell.
Yeah.
So cool.
So it's like those last few minutes of Hellraiser where she goes into those corridors, but kind of the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's different. It's not as. I don't think it's as successful as a horror film as the first one, but it's just a
think
wonderfully
it's
twisted.
better.
Like it's a visually mad. It's going into Clive Barker's brain, basically.
Right.
You know?
So obviously there's a doctor in it,
Yes.
and he works in a mental institution, and there's this one scene.
I love that idea.
I know, it's great, and the first person he kills, because of course he has an obsession with the box, and there's 7 of them or something like that in the world, and the first person he kills is a guy who has that mental condition where he thinks there's bugs crawling on him, and it's like simple things like that where they can play on it and turn that into I mean, that is gross. He's literally like dragging, you can't see me doing this, but he's dragging his nails down his skin, and there's maggots coming out, and it's all in his head. But sorry, totally got Pinhead.
Sometimes.
Pinhead.
Sidetracked from Pinhead. How did he become the leader of the Cenobites? Because he was a good officer in World War II who just had a penchant for,
Well, we kind of presume.
He had a pension and he became Pinhead.
That's how you become a member of hell. I think, it's weird because all the films kind of spread into themselves, and Clive Barker himself came back and did a series of comics on it as well.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, I think we always presumed Pinhead was the head of the Cenobites, but just because in the first film he's the kind of the main of those 3. But I think as it goes on, he is much more just a disciple of the.
I just remembered him. No, don't do that. That line just came right into my head. Sorry.
No, that's all right. So moving on from Hellraiser, I think we killed that conversation.
Sorry, there was a moment when you were talking about the grunting, and it was
There was a
when,
lot of grunting.
yeah, when the dad gets his hand caught on a nail when he's pushing and that obviously
Beautiful.
brought into my mind Gerald's Game.
Do you know what I was
yes.
just going to say? Can we please talk about Gerald's Game?
Yeah, so actually this is a really interesting film, I think, to talk about, especially in the climate
Yes.
of what's going on in Hollywood at the minute.
Do you want to give like a basic introduction to the story without obviously spoiling too much?
I haven't
But the
seen
setup.
it.
Oh, have you
Okay.
not?
I have seen it. I've been on a mad Stephen King buzz the past month or two.
And you
but
haven't watched
I
Gerald's Game?
haven't watched
Oh.
Gerald's Game.
Did you watch that one with Thomas Jane?
What?
1922.
Shite.
I only started it and I was struggling a bit with EOD language, but
yeah.
I like the story.
I've got the blurb, the IMDb
Yes, please.
blurb,
Oh, yeah,
blurb it
which
out
is,
there.
while trying to spice up their marriage, Jessie must fight to survive after her husband dies unexpectedly and she's left handcuffed to the bed.
Yeah, and that is kind of all you can sort of discuss, isn't it, without getting into it,
But
and
that's
especially because Conor D
I read
hasn't
the book.
seen it. Okay, so
yeah.
well,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
How did you guys feel about Elliot from E.T.?
Yeah, I know you told me that, and my mind was literally like destroyed.
Which one was Elliot from E.T.?
The
The
dad.
dad.
No.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. That freaking eclipse will never. Oh my god.
That's interesting.
No finding home.
Of course, yeah, fuck. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, sorry, Ali, you started the whole thing, so why don't you talk?
Well, I mean, I just thought it was.
This is a Netflix original, so it's one you can
Yeah.
only get on Netflix.
Yeah, it's an absolute masterpiece of the horror that can go on inside your mind and inside your soul, like the struggles that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Throwing it back to, do you remember when Jessica Jones came out there and everyone was like, oh, this is like, I'm totally going to be like massacred by all feminists in the world. But they were like, oh, this is like the best portrayal of a female dealing with sexual abuse and dealing with all of these issues and emotions. And I think Gerald's Game completely blew it out of the water. I mean, it literally, this is what it is to show. Sorry, I'm getting excited.
No, it's good.
This is what it like. It was such a raw portrayal of someone dealing with these things that have happened to them and coming over it on the other side, like literally coming through the worst of times and getting through it. And it was horrifying. I mean, simple things like the dog always being there. I mean, I love dogs, and that freaking dog was like, you know, and then Lurch.
Well, yeah, see, it's just how much you want to get into it, because it's very tough, because if you haven't seen it, I would really urge you to watch it, knowing as little as possible, because I hadn't read the book, actually, and I when I've heard about people describe how it's written, I can imagine why everyone thought it was unfilmable.
Yeah.
But, like, just watching the film in its own right, like, this is a story, so it's directed by Mike Flanagan, who did Hush, Before I Wake, Oculus, and Ouija Origin of Evil, so, like, kind of one of the top guys in his game, I'd argue, at the moment in the industry, and taking on a story, just even from a directing point of view, which is kind of a two-hander and then sort of a one-hander in its own way, mostly all in one room, and actually managing to prove that you don't need any big set pieces. Like, it's really incredible that way, that it totally holds your attention, and not only that, but actually keeps you kind of on your edge of the seat.
Totally. And I thought he did a brilliant job as well of what could have been quite confusing, or what could have been, like, it was the same with, I thought he did that quite well in Oculus. In a way, watching it, you're kind of brought along, if you know what I mean. And it's very, and it's visually quite interesting, where a scene from the past will move into the present, but you're not confused by it.
Never, and that's really that's
Never,
hard to
not
do,
one
isn't it? I think
moment.
people don't give that enough credit, because it's only when you watch bad films you realize how easy it is for an audience to get frustrated and go, I'm not sure who's this now or what. But he has just at the right pace, like, and I think this takes a lot of confidence, because he doesn't seem in any way nervous about that working. He just is kind of, if I just do this, people are going to get it. And again, because you can't really talk about the finale, but because this is a Stephen King novel, but like, it'd be, for me, I would kind of argue it's more along the lines of, say, your Misery type stories than, say, you know, the Tommyknockers. And so it's not like wall-to-wall horror. So, it's internal horror, actually, as opposed to Blood and Guts. But it does build to a moment of what I think is going to be one of the most memorable and striking scenes of violence on screen
100%.
in over a decade for me. And it just, you know, and it's proof, though, that it's not even about, because, like, it is graphic, but it's not laboured on. But just with good sound effects and rightly framed, it's so effective.
Like, it's been a long time since I had to look away from the screen.
That must be why my mom told me it was really fucked up. She watched it and she was like, it's pretty fucked up.
It is. It's an absolutely compelling piece, and it's really horrific.
But it is that classic idea, even just from the script writing point of view, that if a character needs to overcome a thing, and the pressure of the situation forces them to internally overcome something, and that is brilliantly done in it.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because like, in a lot of films I tend not to like flashbacks. I tend to find them kind of lazy and boring, and like, get me back to the story. But even in these ones, it's so naturally woven in, and it's relevant, you know, that you actually, you want to know. Like, it's a weird one, because flashbacks are really a kind of a crude way sometimes of popping back, but he just handles it so well, and you just sort of drift along through the whole film. You never really feel like, for me, I would argue the last couple of minutes weren't as necessary. Like, they're fine, I've no problem with them, but like, you know, and I like the message of it, but I didn't personally need it. to feel. I felt that the character had achieved that
Yeah.
without,
I mean, I thought it was a nice conclusion to the character.
Yes.
Like,
and it's nice to have an ending that is strong and clear, and
Yeah.
But I don't know if that is. I presume that is all in the book.
I haven't read the book.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
You've read
I
the
haven't
book.
seen the film, so
Yeah, no, we can't.
way
And
of
I don't want to spoil it on people.
But as well, talking about more Netflix originals, you mentioned Before I Wake.
Yes, yeah.
Feelings,
Which is available here, but not available in America because of Relativity going completely bankrupt.
yeah,
So it's only
yeah,
available in
of
Canada.
course, yeah.
So that was a big deal that Netflix picked it up here, which was great. I loved the idea. I didn't really like the film.
Yeah, it was a bit weak.
Is that the same director as Gerald's Game?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
It's kind of a horror drama,
Yeah.
like quite a very tragic and great central premise. And I know some people really, really love it. But yeah, it didn't quite earn what I felt it did.
It had a great trailer. Didn't quite live up to it, which is often the case with, I think, a lot of movies. But still, I mean, for something that was made in 2014 or 2015, and it's only just been released due to, of course,
It's been a nightmare for him,
being
yeah.
caught up with Relativity. But visually, I think it's quite good.
Oh yeah,
And
it's a really. Have you seen it, guys?
No, I haven't
Like,
seen it.
I don't. You don't want to necessarily spoil it, but like there's. It's probably worth mentioning because people won't watch it otherwise. Like, what's really amazing or very creepy about it is it's about a couple who've lost their child and they adopt a new one or they're fostering another one, and it turns out that whatever this child dreams about actually becomes an apparition in their house. So they start feeding information about their child to the kid so that she dreams about it so that they can hang out with their dead child. But they're giving her more and more information to try and make it more and more real for them, and they're staying up all night to hang out. And it's just it's this fucked up thing of where they're using the new child to try and relive the things, which are great concepts. It just doesn't quite pull together.
Agreed.
Okay.
But like,
great concept, sounds fantastic on paper. I
it
can
is,
see it.
and I
getting
love the
made
fact that
really
Mike
easily.
Flanagan's going for these things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, because better to swing and miss than not.
He's
swing
living
at
and
all.
learning.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And his body of work is just only going to grow. The more he takes these kind of risks.
And did you say that same director did what's his name again?
Mike Flanagan.
And Mike Flanagan. Did you say he did Hush? As
Hush,
well?
there's the first major Netflix original.
That's
film.
on my list as well. What did you guys think?
Oh,
of that?
I really liked Hush. It's very well made.
Really tense.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good, and I loved the concept when I heard about it. I was like, okay, I have to see this movie. And I liked it, but I thought the killer, I just kind of fell down for me. I thought it was
Well,
just
once they took off the mask, that actually lost it for me. I have to admit,
and then just the motive. It's just a guy killing, stalking and killing people for no particular reason. That kind of gets me. Where it's I would have liked a little bit of something. Just why he's doing this, other than he's
weird.
just a bit mad.
Because isn't that a battle we all have even when you're developing horror scripts and stuff? It's the whole like having enough information because people want to know, but then
Not
also
you don't want too much.
Because in Chainsaw, we never know why. Really, like Michael Myers, we never know why.
Wait a second, we do know.
Michael Myers, we know why.
Well, no, we don't. No, Michael Myers, we don't. We never know why he killed his sister.
Well, we do in the Rob Zombie
Yeah,
one.
we do. Yeah. But that's never clarified.
Well, was it not because like this whole sexual frustration thing?
But that's something we've applied to it. But the film never discusses that.
But isn't that like
But you get
what
you
film
get
is?
that
Like,
as an
you
audience
do,
member. You
But-
get as an audience member. You get. I think I have an idea of why he's killing people.
And the same with Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw. I mean, that's pretty blatantly obvious. Like, it's the family are out in the middle of nowhere and they do eat people,
And they've been doing this for years.
Yeah, but
incestuous, and it's why?
The why isn't there?
Why
which I love because I think it's scarier, but I don't think it's ever.
Why? Because I think in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they like those that fucked up family of killers. They're like well rounded. Like they're well rounded in that. I look at them and I go, okay, they are outside of society. They are able to do whatever the fuck they want, and there used to be what's it called?
Ed Gein?
No, they used to own an abattoir.
Yeah,
They used to own an abattoir, and they used to
Again-
kill animals. So that's kind of carried over into them doing whatever the hell they want. In Hush, the dude just shows up wearing a hoodie, going, "I want to kill you. I want to kill you." So you're like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
But the thing is, like, look at any serial killer. Why?
Yeah, but because that's the question that we're all trying to figure out. But when you have a why, it becomes less scary. Like, cut to Hannibal Rising, cut to any of the later
The
Chainsaw ones that
Manhunter's
tried
quite
to
good.
explain. Manhunter's
I mean,
incredible.
yeah.
Brilliant.
I mean, the
yeah.
I
why
was watching that
becomes the
last night.
story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But like, yeah, I don't know. Like, 'cause
I don't want to over-explain the
No,
why,
but
for sure.
I understand exactly what you're reading from Chainsaw, but there's never a discussion about why Leatherface wears people's faces for masks. There's never any kind of understanding about how they became. We see Grandpa up there. There's some hint that it was that way, but like, I don't know. I think it's scary because we don't know. And like when you're writing a script, it's trying to have that. How much do we get into that?
Absolutely,
because I agree, because it was a bit of a problem for me in Hush, and yet I also know I kind of don't want my killers overly explained, and I'm not sure where that sweet spot is.
It's almost probably the thing with Hush is because he's a dude, and he is a guy. You automatically maybe want a reason, do you know?
Yes.
Whereas if he's a guy in a mask, he's sort of saying, he's a bit of
that's it. He takes his mask.
He's one of those guys that something happened.
And that is a sinister moment when he takes off the mask and you're like, oh shit, he doesn't care. If she sees his face, that means he's here to kill her. And she's a brilliant character. You know, she is really good. You're kind of with her for the whole movie. But I think that was just the only thing, you know, like
it was kind of an exercise in tension, really. That film.
It was more of that, wasn't it? Because like I really enjoyed it, but like it's not. I wouldn't say Hush is like the perfect horror film. Like I think actually Netflix was a perfect spot for it. I don't know if I went to see. I think because it wasn't the cinema, we all enjoyed it a bit more. I think your expectations might have been a little bit higher if we'd paid €13 to see it. You know, because it's just a really well made one. I don't think it reinvents anything particularly, but I don't know that that's a bad thing either. Like it's just an entertaining 90 minutes. Yeah, and away you go. You know,
has anyone seen, by the way? Because I know they've just released Creep 2.
The original, I really like. Now, this is the American.
Has been released.
In America, it has. I don't know if it's out over here yet.
Okay.
So this isn't Creep, the British underground one, which I really like. Actually,
I love that
really
one. I
creeps me
great.
out, ironically. But so this is the American one. Remind me the story of the original one.
Mark Duplass. Where Peach Fuzz, where he puts the mask.
So it's a guy who's dying. He claims that he's terminally ill and he wants to make a video for his family or something. Is it?
Yeah, he hires a cameraman to come around and film him because he's going to die, and wants to show his son. His unborn son, I think.
That's it. Yeah, and it's super low budget. It's really just
kind of the
two actors.
Yeah.
So wait, sorry, because I haven't seen the Mark Duplass Creep.
So this was one of my favorite horrors of the last 2 years.
And it's a slow build, though, isn't it? But it just.
I've watched it about 4 or 5 times.
Really?
And it's just his character
was
brilliant.
Netflix, like for the past while. Yeah, I just haven't gotten around.
Because this was one of those Blumhouse ones that they did just sort of dump onto. You know, obviously they make their films and then they decide if they're going to do a theatrical release or not. So they did just sort of plonk it onto Netflix, but it's really found a following since then, hasn't it? Like there's a real upsurge of people.
And I definitely didn't know when I first watched it, or when I finished watching it, I didn't know it was going to be part of a trilogy.
Did they know either?
Oh, is it?
It's part of a trilogy.
Okay.
It's not like the Matrix thing where it's after. It's like, there's always going to be a trailer. So, have you seen the new one, Connor? Or?
No. I just heard about it, but I'm
the reviews
excited.
seem to be pretty good. People seem to think
it's
it's actually really, because I didn't know how you would do a second one like that and make it work. But I'd be interested to see, because sequels are tricky. Like what did guys think of Wolf Creek 2?
I didn't see it.
Because like it's a weird one to say you liked Wolf Creek because I find it quite nasty and not.
I love the character of Wolf Creek. I was literally in a meeting the other day, and we had gotten in a treatment, and I was like, actually, can we go back to the writer, and I'm just gonna like tell him to watch Wolf Creek so that he can base, because you've got all these little bits of the character. Is his name Mick?
Mick, yeah.
The killer.
yeah.
When I first saw Wolf Creek, someone just said, hey, how about you watch this movie Wolf Creek? Here's the DVD. I literally didn't even know it was a horror movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when the thing happens,
and it takes about 40 minutes.
Yeah, it does. So you're like, it's like a road movie, and then they go to this like
it's
crater.
An alien crater.
Yeah, you're like, it's Wolf Creek. Yeah, that sounds like it could be like kind of like an alien kind of thing. And then when he wakes up and he's like got the things through his arms and all, you're like, oh shit, this is like a serial killer. A survival kind of horror type of movie.
Not even a serial killer. It's just, I didn't pick up on him being a serial killer. It was more like that he was just this really friendly old man who,
serial kills people.
The story of Santa
Claus. He's a mass murderer more than
but
he goes around the.
He does go around. Okay, he is a serial killer, but he's like, remember when he sticks the knife into your man's back, and he's like, do you know what? I call a head on a stick, and then he that's a really bad Australian accent.
Just in case anyone didn't pick up on that.
And then it's like, this is a head on a stick. Fucking horrifying.
A serial killer would never do that.
A serial killer would never do that.
Speaking from experience. No, it's a weird, because whether people like the first one or not, because it is a tough movie. It's definitely not
It came out in the days of torture porn, didn't it?
It
came
did
out
kind
around
of,
Hostel.
it's not quite that, and
Yeah,
it
it's
is
not as bad as
brutal
that,
and
yeah.
it's raw,
Yeah.
and I know it's weird, but I want to kind of enjoy my horror films. I don't really just enjoy watching something nasty the whole way through.
Completely, yeah,
But
100%.
when they made the sequel to it, it was a weird one to me because there are lovers of it, and I haven't seen the TV series yet, but they
There's
just
a
kind of
TV series?
Yeah, it just came out. I believe,
well,
on
Shudder just put season 1 up. Season 2's on TV at the moment, I think, in America. But it's that they just kind of umped up all the action.
When
so now
did the
Mick
sequel
is kind of
come
doing
out?
big car chases. A couple of years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's wild, yeah.
And but like there's big and they're well done, but it's just it's that hard thing of trying to expand a small story,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
why I think Creep would be interesting because you kind of have to keep it small.
Yeah.
For it to
Well,
work.
but I thought
like-
that's why Wolf Creek was so good because it was so small and as you said, the violence didn't really kick off until about halfway through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it worked as like kind of like a road movie, like a summer kind of holiday kind of
Yeah.
movie, and then there was just this really fucked up moment in it. You know, but if you did like a whole movie, like I don't know, I'd be curious to see if that sequel worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I've never-
again, we're checking out, but a bit different. But it's a funny one because it does take about 40 minutes to get going in that. And how do you guys kind of feel about that? Because horror films have gone through this interesting turn where, like, I'm constantly surprised when I go back and watch earlier films, actually, because I was watching Manhunter last night, actually, and like most of them get into it so quickly. Like, and I kind of love that. Now, I still think you need your 10 or 15 minutes to set up. Generally, that's fine. But when a lot of these other ones nowadays, where I don't know whether it's budgetary or not, but like for me, 45 minutes, 50 minutes before the film kicks in can be a bit long. If you're really loving the characters, it's great.
Yeah.
But that's a big if on a lot of them. And like, you know, I don't know.
It's literally like we talked about it a year ago. It's that whole elevator genre, elevator thriller. It's not going to sell unless it's a big studio film. If it is in the first 10 minutes, a distributor sees horror, sees gore, it's not going to sell.
Really?
Yeah. So it literally is a modification of the genre to get it into a cinema, to get a theatrical release, to get people to see it.
That's so funny because even when I find developing scripts, that there's always, well, I feel from some of the producers there's a pressure to try and get to it quicker and give us the scare in the first couple of minutes and stuff.
There's
like that.
probably it's probably like you say though, it's probably dependent on where they're aiming
True.
to put it. So maybe
and what budget you're aiming for. Yeah, that's true.
because I do think there's still a place. I hope there's still a place for the
there has to
gory,
be.
I think
Yeah.
so.
for horror. You know,
Well, do you know what?
I
Like,
aim for it.
yeah, because there was I only got to see 2 films at the Hearthon this year. So it was the opening night. It was Tragedy Girls, and then a film afterwards called, I think it was called Blood Shack, which is a terrible name. But
Amazing
actually,
name.
you
Blood
guys
Shack.
would fucking love this film. Like, I'm pretty sure it's set in New Zealand, like, but it's just a family, slightly dysfunctional family go off to the cabin. They find out that their next door neighbor has keep some kind of weird vampire type creatures in her basement, and she spots them, and so of course they're going to be attacked by them. But like the dad is hammered drunk, and he's with his new girlfriend, but he is hilarious because he decides he's going to go and talk to the neighbor and sort all this out. But it's proper real funny drunk and not annoying actor drunk.
Yeah,
But it's a really fun film, but it's splattery and it's gory. But you know what? It was lovely to see it in the audience of the Hearthon where, you know, it was what we were saying, is that fun horror film to watch. It's a great audience picture.
Yeah.
And not just cheap spatter or anything like that. Like, but you just had a great time with it. It's not important. It's not that intelligent.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's nice because,
It is nice.
you know,
Definitely.
because I want to talk about remakes at some point, but like I've watched the Martyrs remake and Cabin Fever remake as part of my Horror-tober viewing. And like, fuck me, man. Like sometimes, even though I like more serious, say, horror films, you gotta have some entertainment in there. Just like...
100%. It can't be all pretension
No.
and, you know...
And yeah, the art house thing's really taken over these days.
It is, yeah. But, I mean, that's what sells.
But that said, though, I mean, I'm glad to see it did so well.
massively.
You know,
Yeah.
Okay.
So good.
Okay.
But is it a good film?
No!
Have you seen it?
Yes.
I was always a massive fan of the original.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure most of you guys were, right?
100%.
yeah.
Well, I'm a massive fan of Tim Curry's Pennywise.
Yeah.
On a rewatch, the film doesn't quite stand up as well as I think
It
it
so
could.
stands
But
up.
for TV in the 90s, it was incredible.
I recently, well, after seeing the remake of it, I thought, okay, love the remake. So many things I loved about it, but you can't touch Tim Curry's Pennywise.
No.
Okay, so then I went back and watched the original, and I was like, I've so many fond memories of the original. I really do. I had seen it twice already, so that means I had already given 6 hours of my life to the
Yeah, it is a
original.
long.
It is
so
long,
so
yeah.
I watched it one more time this year with some cousins of mine, and it's after seeing the remake, it's kind of annoying to watch the original because the way they develop the story in the remake is so much better than the way they develop the story in the original.
Really?
Pennywise in the original, a million times better. I hated Pennywise in the remake. I thought he was a guy trying to do a scary clown impression.
Yeah.
But
who just likes to run at people, wave his hands over his head.
Yeah.
I'm kind of jumping back and forth
I
between the
sent you
two, so
of
it's
him
kind of
dancing.
confusing. It's kind of confusing to talk about it because you're kind of jumping back and forth between the two. But
it's just like the storyline of the original.
the story and the scale of the remake, they just nailed it. They really
I'm
did.
going to disagree with you on
When was last time you saw? When was
every
last time you saw the original?
It's pretty rare, but I am with Ali 100%.
Guys,
But hang on, you can't.
You can high five all you want, right? But I was saying the exact same thing after I saw the remake. Until I rewatched the original for the third time.
Yeah, no, but I don't.
When was the last time you saw the original?
Well, I just
Probably
read the
2 or
book
3
actually like
years
3 months ago.
Like I love that movie. And like I literally, it was also a year ago when we were doing a podcast, and I was like, guys, have you seen the trailer?
Yeah,
and
you
I
hated
was like,
it. Yeah.
I'm underwhelmed to fuck. And then I saw the movie, and I was so pissed off. It was laughable. There was times when I was laughing at just how. It had nothing that I wanted from it. It had nothing that I wanted from the town. It had nothing that I wanted from the characters.
I think those kids are great.
The acting,
absolutely.
the acting in the remake was just
Yeah, like,
out of this
I'm not
world.
dissing the acting, but
and it's well made. Like it looks, it's beautifully designed and all that. But yeah, I think.
even Georgie at the start, that was comical.
Yeah,
I thought they went too big with that thing at the start. When I first watched this film, and someone else was saying the same thing, right? The remake, it's like you see that moment where it grows these big ridiculous teeth and bites off the kid's arm. Immediately I was like, oh, they've gone way too big. They've gone way too big with the horror in this. I'm not going to enjoy this film. That's in the first 5 minutes. I'm sitting in the movie theater going, I'm not going to enjoy this
I was
film.
going, great. They've gone there. They're going to kill the
I was
kids.
surprised by the on-screenness of it, but yeah.
Well, you're always going to kill the kids. Like, you got to kill the kids if it's it. Like, but then after about 20 minutes in the film, it won me back. Usually when you watch film, it loses you after 20 minutes. You go, this is a piece of shit. I'm not going to enjoy this movie. But after 20 minutes, I was like, okay, no, this has got me. This has got me hooked here. The set pieces in the remake, like, absolutely fantastic. You know that scene when they're in the garage watching the slideshow and the woman turns into the clown and then the clown comes
like
out
the
of the
exact
fucking
opposite of this.
projector? That is amazing.
That
is
was literally,
cinema.
for me, that scene was like more funnier, and you'll appreciate this, Conor McMahon.
I'm not saying it's
And
scary, by the way.
No, but do you remember that scene in the Conjuring 2 with the painting?
Yeah.
Terrible movie.
And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
whoa!
Yeah.
It was that for me. It was a joke.
Yeah.
It It hurt my dark horror soul.
I agree. What I will agree with is I'd agree with you guys in the sense that I didn't find the clown scary. Like, I wasn't scared watching
He's a
it.
babe as well.
But I liked the world of, and I suppose it's in that realm of the Stranger Things nostalgia, the 80s. I liked seeing Batman, the first Batman. And I was like, I remember, I know that's 1989. So I enjoyed the world, and I loved the kids, and I really liked the funny kid from Stranger Things. I thought he was hilarious.
He was brilliant.
Fionn, right?
So
I think it was it.
Finn.
can't
pronounce names.
so.
No, yeah, it's like, because it's odd, because I do think it's a nicely made film and everything, and like, because I don't think the TV thing is a classic either. But for me, what makes it, and it's a long read if you do it, but I think the TV series is much more true to it. The whole thing is about children and their fears and how your fears can control you and having to overcome them, and that's the big kind of coming of age thing. And for a film supposed to be based on Stephen King's book, like, I actually think Kubrick's Shining was more loyal to the book than this film. And it's not about the film having to copy it directly, but I actually think it missed what made the book so good and what made the original concept so good was he's facing these inner fears. I just think, and I didn't expect them to do the werewolf or the mummy and all these things that are, in the book. I don't know, I just felt it's supposed to be much more about how those kids survive together, and it was much more of the set pieces. Look, that said, the fact that it's worked for people, I think is amazing. The fact that R-rated horror is doing so good, like on all those levels, I'm delighted. And if a younger audience, if it did everything they want, great. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's more personal feeling than ragging. If any horror film is successful, then I'm happy out. And if it brings some people to the genre, it's great. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. Like, I mean, I'm really happy that it definitely opened a window to a new audience of horror, and that it is letting the horror genre come back in full force. That we are getting children's arms ripped off in the first 10 minutes.
But we're not afraid that a big studio...
That ain't no elevated genre.
One thing I will say that I did actually enjoy about the film was the character of the girl, who I can't remember.
Beverly.
Sorry.
Yeah, she was...
Her storyline
the best.
was a lot stronger and a lot more respectfully done in the remake. That could have been a movie on its own. That would be a movie that I would...
But she was the most interesting for me because she actually had a proper arc to go through. But unfortunately, Mike, the black kid, got very much sidelined. Now, maybe he's going to have a much bigger role in the follow-on, and maybe that's why they're trying to balance it. But like, he's central to the whole book. He's the one who stayed behind and did it all, and he's kind of written out of this film. He's barely in it, like, and the race thing is very little in it as well. Like,
watch the original though. In the original, he's hardly in it at all. He's in it as a grown-up.
Yeah, I know. You're talking about the TV series though. Again, like I'm talking about the book. You know what I mean? Like it's such a... He is the one who sacrificed everything. They all went off, and we don't want to spoil the second one. But Mike is a very important character. He really is.
But we'll see all that in the second one.
Yeah, hopefully.
Although in the original movie, the heavy kid.
Yeah, I know.
Ben.
He gets the girl at the end.
No. But in the original movie, the heavy kid is not the group historian. It's Mike.
Yes, it's Mike. So he just got... He's there. I don't know why they took that off him and gave it to Ben, but they did. It's a slightly interesting choice. Like, I really liked Mama, the director's first film. I know not everyone did.
I really disliked that.
A lot of people did. Mama. I really liked it.
I liked Mama. I liked Mama up until the end sequence.
Did you?
That turned into E.T. It was like, stay.
It's a pretty dark ending.
That's weird. That I really liked it, but I really disliked Mama, and you guys all really liked Mama. But
what didn't you like about Mama of interest? Because you're not alone on that. Actually, not everyone liked it.
One of the things was the big CGI monster. And
see, it's funny, she wasn't really CGI for most of it. I know everyone thinks that is, but it was it's an actor who's a very weird
crawling along the ceiling with those weird insect legs. I hate that shit. I hate that shit in horror movies. It just immediately goes, oh, this shit ain't happening. And it's one of the things I disliked about it was the CGI clown. You know, every time I saw him, I was like, okay, here we go. Let's see what he can do. In fucking the original Tim Curry, it was like a real creepy guy just stepping out of the bushes.
But he had the proper creepy old man type thing. Like, and what really scares people about clowns, while the new one was her, and actually again probably is a little closer to how they describe it in the book, but it definitely works a lot better, the approach they took with Tim Curry. But Conor, you must, because like when you were doing Stitches, I would say designing a clown is actually much harder than you would think. To figure out what is scary or what's not, you know, it must be a small balancing act.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, in ways, you're trying to avoid it as well because it's so iconic.
And yes, you don't want to lose what made it terrifying.
Well, I suppose you're trying to do something simplistic in a way that the design can be kind of memorable, you know? So, yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where you try a load of stuff and you end up doing something almost the simplest thing in the world. Do you know what I mean? A white face and two red lines.
But I think that's proof that that's better, though, just because I thought the new one was just overly designed. In the same way I find Annabelle just too overly a horror doll. I actually think they need to look a little bit more believable that someone might have that in their house.
Yeah. Like, it's so creepy. And nobody seems to respond to it that way. They're like, oh, that's normal. You know?
Well, I mean, you've seen those photos of the real Annabelle doll.
Yeah. Raggedy Ann. I find that creeper, actually. I don't know why, but it's the simplicity of that and the fact it looks like such an innocuous doll scares me more.
I freaking hate dolls, yeah.
But I don't know.
Two things. I saw one or two films at the Horathon as well. I just mentioned. How was Tragedy Girls, by the way? Because I didn't see that, and I heard good things about that.
I would say definitely watch it. I had a good time with it. It's a weird one. So the whole point of Tragedy Girls is the idea of these two best friends who have their own little podcast about their love of serial killers and stuff, and they realize to try and get more traction and a better social media imprint that instead of waiting for the killer in their local area to do killings, they're going to kidnap him and start killing people themselves.
Oh, cool.
Because they'll have the inside track and they'll be able to, get it out there. And so it's all about, trying to raise your popularity and not caring about the damage you're doing in the meantime. So cool ideas. And it's a
Awesome
lovely
idea.
glossy. The main girls are great. One of them's from X-Men, or maybe both of them. I'm not sure. But they're both really strong leads. It's a lot of fun and you will laugh at it. It just doesn't quite hit where it could. It doesn't quite get the satire as strong as it could. And it ends on a strange note that like one or two people were asking questions at the Q&A afterwards, kind of going against the director and questioning what he was trying to say with his ending. And I don't think he was trying to put a kind of a controversial spin on it. I think he was making quite a good point. The film doesn't quite nail that though, and it sort of feels like you're justifying or condoning. And I don't think that was his intention, but the film feels a bit that way. So it's a little mismatched, but well worth watching. And it was just because it reminds me, along with Happy Death Day, the new Blumhouse one, it's just nice to see a return to horror films for me that actually have just a bit of a story and a bit of characters who you actually are interested in following around a bit as well. Or there's a, I know, like, whether you hated Death Day or not, like, they're actually
we'll
going...
talk about that.
Yeah, but they're going for, like, a story where it's actually about someone, and again, whether it's successful is a different thing, but they're trying to actually have a person who is a real person who has their own problems or whatever like that, and having to go through, instead of just what it kind of got reduced to for a while there, which was just, we hate the main characters instantly and let's just wait to have them brutally murdered. I kind of prefer that idea of, let's actually follow people through on an adventure. But I think it's worth watching. What did you see, Connor?
The first one I saw was a film called Tag, which is a Japanese horror.
In the very tone of the old J horror, or like?
No. I mean, I'll just tell you the opening scene to give you an idea. So it's a lot of Japanese school kids on a bus, and for some reason they start having a pillow fight. I'm not sure.
As you do.
And
you Japanese.
There's feathers flying all over the place, and there's one girl and she's writing her poetry, and her pen falls on the ground, and she goes down to pick it up, and suddenly the whole top half of the bus gets sliced off. Whoa. And you have all these, like, half sliced, like the start of Ghost Ship,
yes.
is it? Where they
like the wire goes
That's
through the wall.
amazing.
Yeah,
That's
like
a good
this.
fun film.
I love that
And she jumps out, and there's this sort of, you don't really know, it's like wind. I mean, the camera's flying after her with leaves flying around, and basically all the telegraph poles are being sliced, like in clean slices. And it's a brilliant opening scene where you're just going, what is going on? Like this, and she's just running, and she runs through the forest and comes kind of to a clearing where other kids, or like a river where other kids might have been hanging out, but they're all sliced in half, you know? And then she gets to school. But basically, this is where the film sort of lost. Like, for me, if it was just like, if it kept going, I'd be going, great. But it almost, that becomes like, oh, it was a dream or a fantasy.
I hate that.
And then she goes into school and she's sort of forgotten. Her friends start kind of reminding her who she is and who her friends are. And then the teacher pulls down a submachine gun and blows the shit out of them all. And then that's another dream. So basically it becomes this film about parallel dimensions and moving into different, like, it's got some great scenes. Like, then she'll be at a wedding and instead of, she's walking down the aisle, instead of flowers, she's got like a bottle that's smashed in half, and she's told, you need to go in there and you need to kill the whole bride. It's almost like she gets teleported into these different realities. So it's a series of I guess set pieces, and the set pieces are great, but you start to lose, when something keeps restarting, it's almost like it doesn't have enough of an arc or a through line to keep you interested. So individually it's got some great sequences, and the opening I was like really excited about it, and that crazy wind that was slicing everyone in half, if it had been just that, it was like the good version of The Happening. That's weird
because it sounds interesting, and yet that does sound like it would probably annoy me as well.
It ultimately unravels a little bit,
but worth a watch, do you think? Or
I think,
like, if it turned up on Netflix type thing, is like, bung it on, or
I definitely watch it for the first 20 minutes, and then if you're into it, keep watching. Cool. And
what was the second one you saw?
The other one I saw was the Hitchcock documentary.
Oh, I'm dying to see that. How good was
7852, I believe.
Yeah. So it's an hour and a half documentary about a 2-minute scene in a film, or a 1-minute scene.
So it's basically
what film?
The shower scene in Psycho.
The shower scene in Psycho. So it's called 78 because there's 78 camera setups and 52 cuts in that sequence.
Okay.
And so they really go in depth into the sequence, its impact at the time.
Yeah.
And they've a lot of good, like their interview, Guillermo del
directors and stuff,
Toro,
yeah.
Elijah Wood. They've a lot of people talking about it. And the great thing is they have, because most of that scene was shot with a body double for Janet Leigh, and she's still alive. So they were interviewing her about.
Cool.
So that was great. It's not just people commenting on
Yes,
it as
the
well.
actual people who were there. Yeah.
You kind of just want to know what happened on the day.
Yeah,
The mundanity is almost more interesting. It's really good. It sometimes falls a little into, these documentaries where they kind of go, and Hitchcock, I mean, clearly the civil rights movement was happening at the time, and the shower scene was representing, or the Vietnam War or whatever, the way they
when
kind
people
of
start waxing lyrical, it gets a little
it's almost like then it cuts to Hitchcock and he's just like, when I read that shower scene, I just wanted to like, that was his reason for the film. But what I did like about it was there were things that I hadn't noticed in Psycho before, like in the opening scene, where she's in the apartment with the guy. In her shot, but behind it is the door is open to the bathroom, and you see the shower in the background.
Really? Okay.
And as she's driving, it's raining and the wipers.
Yes.
It's almost like the rain and the wipers are cutting across, almost like the blades.
I gotcha. Okay.
And so it's almost like the whole film is building towards the shower scene, and that was kind of interesting to watch. It's like how Hitchcock had. I mean, as he said, it was his reason for doing the film, that sequence. But it's sort of, it doesn't totally come out of nowhere. It's sort of been slowly threaded in visually throughout the film. It's like her destiny from that opening shot.
I love that though. I really want to give it. I think that is coming out on VOD pretty soon.
Definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
I saw Psycho, actually, the original Psycho, for the first time only this year. Actually, I'd never seen it before. It was one of those movies that it's kind of like, how have you not seen that movie?
Yeah.
And you've seen the shower scene like in TV and documentaries and stuff.
How did you find it?
Brilliant. Like, I mean, it was just it completely lived up to its legendary status. But it's just a masterclass in tension, the performances, and I thought like Anthony Perkins, like his performance. From the very moment you meet him, he's almost like a sympathetic kind of character, which makes it that much better of an experience. It's like I've seen kind of, because I had seen the remake when I was a kid. Some grown up was like, "Oh, here, watch this scary movie." I'd never heard of the original, and Vince Vaughn
and Anne Hash,
just plays this big like I'm a crazy person. From moment one, like there's absolutely nothing redeemable about them. So I think you feel kind of sorry for Norman Bates in the original.
Completely.
And then you can kind of see why he does what he does. And shower scene, like,
and the Dutch
amazing.
tilt. Like,
It's interesting because they do interview the more so the editor of the remake.
Right.
And she was saying they cut together the shower scene, which they'd done shot for shot, and
just didn't work, wasn't it?
Didn't work.
Yeah.
It's just because it didn't work.
That's
and
mad.
then they, which really annoyed me when I watched it, they start putting it. I mean, as she phrased it, what's the director of the remake again?
Gus Van Sant.
Gus Van Sant.
Incredible director, but
Yeah. And they were saying they made it more like, so in the shower scene starts cutting to shots of clouds moving across the sky, and it's so.
Well, that whole it was the weird thing just after winning the Oscar for Good Will Hunting that Gus Van Sant decided he was going to do this vanity project of doing, but he had the whole notion of trying to remake a film shot for shot to actually see if it would still be as good, which is an interesting concept.
Yeah.
But he was trying to get the actors to deliver their lines and walk across the room at the same pace as so it was bringing so many levels, and the editor was trying to fit it in. It just became impossible, and then they seemed to abandon it and just. Because the trailer, I think, had brought in those kind of shots of clouds and people liked it in the trailer. So they went back and just started putting it into their film. They
kind of undermined themselves anyway. At least if it doesn't work, just that's the purpose of it. But don't start putting in...
One of the things that struck me about the original, after having seen the remake so many years ago, was the pacing of the original. It's just perfect pacing. Like, you never feel like there's any kind of moments where it's dragging. But I remember watching the original, even though supposedly it's a shot-for-shot remake, I remember there just being all these moments where you're like, oh, get to the fucking point.
Well, yeah, it's just when something's well made as well, you give things so much more time, don't you? But like, so what about the Psycho sequels? Because I'm quite a fan of 2 and 3.
I've never seen them.
I read the
I've never
book
gone
of the
past.
sequel, actually, Psycho 2. I read that.
Is this a novelization of the script?
No. Robert Bloch wrote the original book.
Okay, I know Tom Holland wrote the script for Psycho 2.
Okay.
That's interesting.
It could be a novelization.
No, because I know he had a number of them.
The movie was based on a book.
And I think in Robert Bloch's book, wasn't it? Norman was actually a fat, balding, overweight man. And
really?
it was Hitchcock who changed it because he thought it'd be much more disturbing to have a young, attractive person, because as he said, like, you know, killers tend to be younger and more
Perkins
attractive.
was kind of androgynous as well. You know,
Yeah.
he was really skinny and kind of bird-like, you know, himself. So I think that really was
It is. I mean,
solid.
Hitchcock does have, even from the documentary, he does have an amazing ability to almost predict how the audience will respond to things. Like, it was the reason to shoot it in black and white was purely because he knew they wouldn't accept, the blood would be too extreme in that shower scene. So it wasn't just to be arty about it, you know, it was...
Yeah.
I would, like, you know, it's like when I think of Psycho and say The Exorcist and a few other films, like, I would give anything to know what it would have felt to see that, because like Psycho's still quite a disturbing film in its own way, but to imagine what it must have been like back then when audiences were really not prepared, because this, like, you know, Paramount didn't want to make
Man in a
it.
dress.
Well, no, but they were like, there was no way they were going to make it. Like, Hitchcock had to fight for sure. He had to put it, like, he worked for free on the film and made a fortune off it in the back end because of that. But, like, you know, no one thought you could even put that stuff on screen because it was so. I can only imagine how, even because my mom, I think, saw Alien and The Exorcist when they first came out, and she's not into horror films or anything, but you know, you go you're in college and stuff, and it was just too extreme. And
People
like nowadays
running out
we're
of
so
cinema,
used to
ripping their hair out.
but I would love to know what that
jealous
felt
of
like,
those
though. Yeah,
audiences. I wish, like, I was definitely born in the wrong time.
Here, what about that movie with Anthony Hopkins playing Hitchcock and Helen Mirren playing as well?
I prefer the BBC version with Toby Jones playing Hitchcock. That's a much better.
I love Toby Jones.
But in that film, it's in the film with Helen Mirren as his wife. It's really one of those the woman behind the man type of movies, and how she basically like took over the edit of Psycho and made it good.
Yeah, they just romanticize him a
that
bit
all
much,
about?
though. Do you know?
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Alma was like really important to all his films. I think she was part of the script writing on a lot of them and the approval. So I think that's true. I just felt the Hopkins one kind of. I'm not about trying to taint Hitchcock's legend because I think he's an incredible filmmaker, but I think there's enough stories about him as a man to imply that he was quite a difficult person and not very fair on women particularly. And it just, that film was the whole Hollywood celebrating the best side but not at least admitting there were other bits. And the girl, the BBC one is maybe a little bit too harsh to the other side, but it is based on Tippi Hedren's experience making the bird, so at least you have a first-hand account. And
I've never heard of that film.
oh, it really, I don't know, it's so annoying that they never released it. It was like it's BBC was on there. I'm sure you can find it probably on certain sites, but they never released it on DVD. But Toby Jones is way better as Hitchcock in my opinion, and it's just it's a horrific ordeal, and I believe her. I don't see any reason for her to lie about her experience with it. She's not the only woman to come forward, you know.
And we're totally segueing into the Harvey Weinstein
Oh,
situation.
God.
But sorry, gonna say it. Hitchcock, like, he's total, like, he was a misogynistic absolute arsehole, and he's a phenomenal director, and I love his films. And sorry, being a female, being a feminist, I am not ashamed to admit that. Just saying fuck you to Tumblr right now.
No, but it's that difficult thing of like I don't think acknowledging whether a film is brilliant or not isn't in any way approving of how someone chooses to live their life. You know, and again, I think if he was doing this now and he was behaving that way on sets, it should be stopped and changed.
Completely.
So it's not about condoning or saying it was fine that it was done, but I don't. For me personally, they are two separate things. If people want to see them as the same thing and make their own choices, that's fine. But like, it's a tricky one. Like, it is, because like you run into your own personal moral issues and your enjoyment. Like, I don't know. I guess there's no perfect thing, because there's always going to be some things you will draw a line. Like that line in the sand is different for everyone. But I think it's more about respecting each person's right to have a slightly different line. That it doesn't mean that they're hating on you or you know, it's just everyone has their own fucking take on it.
That was, you should be president of the world with that saying. No, honestly, because I do feel like we are very much like our voices are being, it's like Motel Hell, our voices, our vocal cords are being taken out and we're all being planted to
nice
become,
tie back.
Yeah,
I like Motel Hell.
I like Motel Hell.
Let's lighten it slightly, shall we?
Yeah.
Just to get back.
I watched a movie that you recommended a year ago, Lake Mungo.
Oh yeah. Did you enjoy it?
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's okay. I enjoyed it. I did feel that it kind of ended a bit
it's very hard when you're doing a straight up documentary. That's why I was watching the whole thing thinking, how can you, because you can't really build to a full on climax because it's supposed to be a documentary that was kind of made and put together, and so there can't really be a shocking surprise.
But like even when it's like when the son slash brother is like, oh yeah, no, I framed it, I did this, and this is actually how I did it. It was a glass plate, and I had an impression of my sister. And like all this.
Spoiler.
Sorry.
Wait a minute. It was a glass plate impression of his. Oh, well, now.
Like I
that
don't
tells
know.
me everything.
It started to unravel itself in the middle, which kind of upset me. Sorry, that's all I have to say.
I did like what I did like about that was though that it did take the found footage and do something slightly different.
Yeah,
in the sense that they didn't just do it like the standard
straight up one. No, they worked within the limits, and because it's a really tricky genre to work with, and I think the mockumentary is even more difficult because with these interviews and stuff that it's meant to be a fully assembled. Like at least with traditional found footage, you have this notion of it's raw, so people we can see lots of stuff, but if it's an edited documentary, it's it's a little trickier. But no, I think that's definitely one worth checking out. Did anyone see the new Chucky? Cult of Chucky?
No.
But you know what I did watch?
Oh, what?
Chucky or Child's Play 2.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's doing this revisionist Child's Play 2 is the best in the series. Well, it's not true.
The original.
I don't know if it comes like I watched it because one of the guys on Shockwaves watched the whole Child's Play series, and he's kind of going, Child's Play 2 is really good fun, so I stuck it on, and I did really enjoy it.
Yeah,
like there is something like it captured the fun of the original. I would say
it's very colourful and twisted as well.
Yeah,
like the toy factory stuff is creepy.
Brilliant. Yeah. Like they have these scenes, where the guy caught on the whatever would make the dolls would stick the eyes into the doll, but the guy gets caught on the conveyor belt and
it's what as kids
sticks the eyes in.
I haven't seen it.
We believe the factories were like this. It's like what we thought Willy Wonka type of thing. It's like it's all colourful boxes and there's things everywhere. But and the ending pretty horrific as well. Like Chucky gets pretty mangled.
Yeah, that scene, where they die and they come back and they die, and literally happens about 3 days. He's melted. It's like that has to be it. No, he comes back. And but it was good. I mean, Jenny Agutter's in it, which was a nice surprise.
I went through. There was one Halloween, maybe it was last year, the year before, where I just sat down. I had obviously seen the original a few times, but I sat down and I watched like all of them in the space of like 2 days. It was brilliant. It was really good. But I didn't know. Actually, maybe I might have heard like whisperings of a follow up. What was the new one like?
So
Cult of Chucky.
I haven't seen the new one.
Yeah, no, like okay, I like the Child's Play ones. Like I 3 is a bit weak, and 5 I really didn't like. But I rewatched that recently. That's Seed of Chucky, where Chucky is a kid, and he's going through his emotional gender issues.
Okay,
shit, I did see that. Yeah.
But that's the first one Don Mancini directed, and actually, if you watch it again, it's actually surprisingly well made as a film. I just think they misjudged the humor. Curse of Chucky then was part 6, which they brought it back around to the kind of the horror stuff, and actually, I think that's one of the better ones, well worth watching. And now this one, Cult.
Where did Bride of Chucky?
So
I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, no, that's great
that
fun.
one.
Like I'm a big fan of 4. I think they that was Johnny, or was it Ronnie Yu who did Freddy vs. Jason? They got the sense of humor just right in that. Yeah, Cult of Chucky's, it just, for me, it felt like they jumped the shark. I don't want to get into quite what way it goes with things, but it's a surviving member from from Curse of Chucky, so she's now in a mental asylum. Played by Fiona Dourif, who is Brad Dourif.
They all go into mental asylum. In Chucky 2, she's gone to him. The mother's gone to him. It's as if they want to get rid of a character. Just fucking shift them
she's
off.
trapped in there, and of course no one believes her, but Chucky's coming back for revenge. And it kind of tries to tie it in, but without getting into it, there's multiple Chuckies, and instead of being more effective, it just feels
diluted.
less. Yeah. And they just discover a new curse that they can do that with. And it just, I don't know. I know they're trying to do something a bit different with it, but for me, it didn't work, But still,
there is just something great about Chucky, but he's so abusive. Like it's just something, especially when he's chasing a kid. I don't know if that's kid, but that's what was like. There's something about the second one where
he
just
really hates Andy.
He's
horrible to
fucking and it's. I love that thing that they do in films. Where the Chucky will do something and the kid's getting blamed for it. Like, he'll wreck the place.
Well,
And you're just,
Connor, you were going to love Cult of Chucky because can I tell you, Andy is back. And it's the same actor as an adult.
no way.
Wow.
And it starts with Andy, who has Chucky's head in a vault, and he takes it out every night while he drinks and burns cigarettes on it. So it's
God.
fucking demented. So Andy is not over this stuff at all, and he's still. So there's something interesting about that. I wish they developed that further, because like Andy's pretty pissed off. But like his and see that's why those horror franchises work though, isn't it? It's Andy and Chucky is what made those first ones
Totally,
great.
yeah.
It is like Michael and Laurie Strode. Like you have to have the two.
Freddie and Nancy.
Yeah.
Whenever they do a
Freddie and
callback to like the original heroine or the original character, like in any of those franchises, that really works for
bringing
me.
Jamie Lee back in H2O, like for me was the best way to go with those
brilliant.
things. Like it really elevated what that
Totally.
film was.
Yeah.
So you need iconic good people as well as bad people.
See, horror films are completely feminist. Because we always have the final girl who fucking kicks ass.
It's a fun. I don't know. Because you can read it both ways that way. Because like the final girl can be a great trope or it can be not. Because like in some of these films, they are just kind of hapless people who just run around while all their friends are dying, and then eventually they either accidentally or somehow manage to kill the bad guy, or they're ones who take ownership and actually kick ass. Like that's what I enjoyed about Your Next and stuff, is actually someone who didn't just stumble into it but took it straight on, and I kind of think nowadays that's sort of where we're going with the final girls, while before it was a bit more hands over the head, running through the woods just screaming and always falling and twisting their ankle.
No.
No, go on.
I don't think so. I mean, like, okay, look at Suspiria. Okay, she runs and flails in the middle of a wood, but then she goes back and she kills a freaking witch.
She's very little to do with the development of it, bar she figures out at the end. And like, I love Suspiria beyond belief, but like, I'm curious about the new one. What are any thoughts? I know they've announced that it's not a remake, but then you're kind of going, so why is it called Suspiria?
Yeah, exactly.
But like,
I mean,
are we open-minded?
I suppose
No.
it's a tricky one because for me, what makes Suspiria is one, the music and the visuals.
Yeah.
But aren't
and
Goblin coming back to do the music?
Are they?
I don't think so.
I heard
Are they?
that they were. Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's a tricky one when you take something that's so iconic. You tend to kind of let's do something different, and it's hard to do something different that's better. You know.
Well, particularly that because you're right. Like, it's the story of Suspiria isn't really much.
Yeah,
Like,
you could probably tell the greatest Suspiria story, and it wouldn't be as good as the atmosphere that's created by the visuals and the.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, I guess most people who see the new Suspiria will not know the original, and I guess they won't have any of that baggage at all. So in that way, it probably won't really hurt its sales. But like, I'm curious. I'm open-minded. I'm glad that they're not just trying to directly remake it, because I think that's a mistake too.
Yeah, completely.
But then, like, so what do we want in our remakes? Do we want, we give out when they change too much, and then we give out when they're carbon copies?
I mean, I think what I want from a remake is, okay, again, you know what movie I'm going
This
to
isn't
talk
Halloween.
about. Wait, what?
Halloween?
Well, the new Halloween.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
Blumhouse.
not. I was actually going to talk about House on Haunted Hill.
Okay.
Oh, another supernatural film.
I will live that down someday. So obviously, I love the original, and absolutely one of my literally was one of my when you wanted top 5 films.
Yeah,
and
you
I
got
gave
the
you
remake on.
6. The remake is one of my favorite. The 1999 1999, yeah, that's enough nines. Remake is one of my favorite horror films, and I think that it took the key elements. It took the atmosphere and it modified it and updated it. It took the location and it kept it in that eerie kind of atmospheric sense, but again, updated it. And the characters had changed, but yet the storyline, the core storyline was still there, and it didn't. I don't know what I'm saying, guys. Basically, I love both of those movies. I want something that pays homage to it. It takes the key elements of the story. It takes the key elements of the atmosphere, which again is my favorite thing in horror films, and it just modifies and updates them. Like the remake of Evil Dead.
Ugh.
I know.
I rewatched it.
You loved it.
I know. I didn't like it the first time because I thought the drug storyline was too heavy for Evil Dead. But I watched it again and I have to say, I mean, okay, it's never going to be.
It's
I mean, I
not.
love
No, it's
the
a different.
original.
But
so
you
much.
could never
You
remake
can't
the original.
put it in the
That's
same
the thing.
category as the original.
You're
Yeah.
looking at it as just as its own
Yeah.
kind of film.
That's what I think people need to kind of do, because I mean, look, for example, Sherlock Holmes, right? The Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes, I know, totally horror related, but those films have taken a character but completely created their own version of Sherlock Holmes, and that's why they work so well, because they're not trying to conform into this little box that we've all put Sherlock Holmes into. And that's like Evil Dead as a standalone film, if it was titled something else, and
Absolutely.
it was like, if it was like, okay, so we were completely inspired by the original Evil Dead and we wanted to make our own version of it,
Yeah.
then okay. But when you put it in the box and say this is a remake of Evil Dead, that's when it doesn't work, because you're immediately, before you even step into the cinema, you're already comparing it.
I think it's as
And that's the
well
problem.
what makes it hard, and it's arguably things that shouldn't be remade. I mean, Evil Dead is Bruce Campbell. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's and like
in the way that Argento is Suspiria, Bruce Campbell is Evil Dead.
yeah,
It is
and
groovy,
and
yeah.
you're always in a losing battle. I mean, so the thing I'd say about Evil Dead is they did the right thing not trying to do a comedy version. You know what I mean? In the sense that it would always fail if you tried to go down that road, just because
Because you can't recapture the spirit of it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
never could.
Especially with
exactly.
something that has such a specific personality.
Yeah.
Like, you can't replicate that. But like in relation to Evil Dead, I had a real moment of awakening in the summer when I was teaching some film students, and we were talking about movies. We were talking about horror movies, and I was like, someone name like a really good horror movie, and one of the girls puts up her hand and goes, "Oh, Evil Dead." And I was like, "Oh, okay, Evil Dead, yeah, Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, yeah, a bit of gore, a bit of slapstick, it's all good, And then a couple of days later, we were talking about horror movies again, and I was like, has anyone seen Carrie? And they were like, oh yeah. And then I started talking about Carrie, and they were like, no, I don't remember it. Was John Travolta in Carrie? And I was like, oh my god, they're thinking about the remakes.
Well, John Travolta was in Carrie.
Yeah, but he wasn't in the remake.
No. I was just thinking,
So
like,
exactly, that's so what I'm saying is, and then I realized, oh wait, when that girl said Evil Dead to me, she was talking about the remake,
yeah.
and I was like, have you seen like Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness? And she was like, what are these words you're saying to me? And I was like, oh my god, that shit is taken over. To them, Carrie is Chloe Grace Moretz, and Evil Dead is the one with the drugs.
but is that not the same for us? 'Cause,
Retail
like, when we think of The Fly, are we not thinking of Cronenberg's one over the
Okay,
1996?
Yeah,
one,
exactly.
That's a valid point, but that is because Cronenberg totally did a better job.
yeah, like I do agree. Like they did do them better.
But
in
there
the
would have probably been
70s.
people back
Yeah.
then going, what are you talking
But
about?
that's it, yeah. I think people would be horrified going,
Yeah,
Well, also
Colour
people would be
stuff.
horrified
They
going,
ruined
it's
the
so
end.
gory and disgusting, that's not what it was about. Like,
Yeah.
so I think people who loved the original when they saw it probably, in the same way when we're talking about it, we're judging it against previous iterations. But I don't know, because I used to get so upset by remakes like The Omen and The Wicker Man, God help us.
Oh
Like,
my God.
I came out of those films like seething and
Yeah.
furious.
Yeah.
And actually, I think there's been so many of them now that I've been able to let go that hang up that now I don't expect them to be
Great.
Some of them are great.
the-
Some of them are
and they
great.
can be, yeah.
House on Haunted Hill and Ghost Ship,
the
and
thing
13 Ghosts.
The thing
13
from
Ghosts, I
It's
really like.
great. I love it.
the thing I'd say for me that's missing with a lot of them, like if you look at the Texas Chainsaw remake, a lot of the originals, like it's something so subtle it's hard to put your finger on, but it's comes out of the fact that they were made for low budget films, and these people were almost probably out on their own in the film making and to a degree even with Carrie, there's something about when there's a big budget making the film. There's something where it doesn't feel as dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or you're not
So
as on
polished.
edge about
So polished,
what might
yeah.
happen.
They're
Or like-
trying to make a low budget film with a big budget and make it look like it was a low budget film.
Yeah,
It
and
doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. And
It's
it's
just
like
so overlit and everything. Yeah, just
Yeah.
there's no reality at all.
Yeah.
And that's funny because like De Palma's Carrie is so beautiful and
atmospheric.
and
Yeah.
kind of like it's that beautiful kind of glowy
And
look and
eerie.
everything. So
It's really
it doesn't
eerie.
it doesn't have like a rawness like Texas Chainsaw, but it still has its own world.
yeah, but in the way
totally.
that the mother in the original is terrifying
Yeah.
and real.
Moore, yeah.
Julianne Moore is an actress playing
Yeah.
a character. Like I kind of
Not making it her own.
yeah,
like,
you just don't feel that it's like the reality is a little
Sometimes
off.
you come across an old, lesser known horror movie and you think, this would be due a good remake. You know, this could do with a bit of an update. Maybe the first time around they didn't necessarily nail it. They had a good story, they had a good script, a good idea, but maybe it needed a bit of a budget, you know, or maybe it just needed better casting. But there are movies like fucking Carrie and
The Fly,
The Shining, and things like this that they got right the first time around.
Oh, yeah.
That you're just like, don't mess with
touch
them.
it. Don't touch it.
And they're so unique, like Carrie.
But does like Mick Garris's version of The Shining bother you? Like, you know, I think it's a more loyal version of the book. I think that's fine that they made it, but for me, it doesn't taint what Kubrick did at all. Like, I don't.
Because it's a separate entity.
Yeah.
It is a separate entity.
It definitely doesn't outshine the. You're talking about the miniseries. That was unintentional. But, it definitely doesn't overlook the original.
You're on a
Thanks
roll.
very much, folks.
Okay, I think we got to end there. But it does. I wouldn't even say it coexists because no one really knows about that film. You know, like
Yeah, but like most of these remakes will drift into the same obscurity. I would have thought. You know, they were not going to stand the test of time.
Yeah.
Most of them. But then, like, say, I don't love the remake of Night of the Living Dead, but I know a lot of people who are quite big fans of it.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoyed the Dawn of the Dead remake quite a lot. It's a very different thing. It loses all the political subtext, but it's exciting and
it is.
You know,
it is. And Dawn of the Dead the original would be one of my favorite horror movies. But I actually did.
They
enjoy
don't
the remake.
conflict with me. The enjoyment of both of them. You know,
Come here to me. Am I dreaming or having a nightmare? Rather, are they remaking Pet Cemetery?
they are. Yeah.
Oh.
Bollocks to that.
Who's doing it?
How are you
It's
going to
someone
go remake
interesting.
Pet Cemetery?
I know.
Oh, it's the guys who did Starry Eyes, is it?
I support a remake of Pet Cemetery.
Oh my god,
actually.
no you don't.
Yeah, I think Pet Cemetery.
No you don't.
I know people, again, it's had this revision lately where people are saying that the performances aren't great. I still do love Pet Sematary. It still creeps me out.
No, I do love
but
it.
I'd be okay with it. I don't. The problem is, I think
I'm going to have my own Tragedy Girl situation on my hands.
it's what we said though about the Carrie remake and stuff, and I don't believe they're going to get beyond that with the Pet Sematary one. I just think they're going to do things kind of bigger. They'll shine it up a bit. They'll have a bit more CGI cat. I think they will though, because the cat can do more. And actually, that is the
Cat
problem.
can now fly, and someone will be inevitably filming something on a mobile phone, going, "I'm putting this on YouTube because this is the modern version of the film."
That's what kills me. That it's just because like. I think you should still work within the limits of having to work with animals and everything like that. And it could, there's no reason it couldn't be a great film. I just feel that so many of these updates, they think, well, why do it unless we do more?
Yeah.
And that tends to reduce it.
Who would be Judd Crandall's character? Give me a modern day Fred Gwynn, guys.
Well, going by Hollywood nowadays, it would have to be someone young. So it's going to be a 19-year-old like, who works at McDonald's or something like
It's
that.
No
Justin
harm, no
Bieber.
foul.
It's a good store. Let's go walk through.
Take off
that
John Goodman is
Yeah, actually. John Goodman, I'd be up for it. Yeah, because there was a sense of menace to Judd in that film as well. There was something, you know, because even when he says that the sometimes dead is better, or like, he, I don't know, there's something quite creepy. Plus the fact that he tells Lewis this story and then tells him you can't do anything about it. What the fuck are you doing telling him that story?
I know about this graveyard where people come back to life, but never use it.
I suppose in fairness he tells it over the cat and not with
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
yeah.
but
Has
like,
anyone seen that Mr. Mercedes?
No.
yet.
Is that
Terrible.
Is it?
What's his name? Your man. Where is
Brendan Gleeson's in it.
Gleeson.
I
Is that
watch it.
horror?
I watch it because
By Stephen King.
it's written by Stephen King. Stephen King even directs some of the episodes.
If that isn't
and
an
Brendan
endorsement-
Gleeson's in it. I was like, I have to watch
it good?
this show. The first episode did not make me want to watch any more episodes.
Right.
But that's not to say it doesn't get better. It could very well get better.
Interesting.
You know what I watched? And like, it was one of these films that everyone said is awful, terrible, but I was chatting to somebody over Halloween and it somehow came up and they said, no, give that film a chance. And I don't know if anyone's seen it, but Knock Knock with
Keanu Reeves, Eli Roth.
God.
Are we done?
Worst film ever made.
No, I really enjoyed it.
Of all time.
I really enjoyed it.
Connor, what the hell?
It's a trashy 80s. It reminds me of the erotic thrillers that used to come out where it promises all this sex and stuff and then doesn't quite deliver on that and then it just goes crazy with people later on.
I think I like films where, you know, like...
We're two girls.
Two hot girls.
No. You know when somebody makes a mistake,
No, I'll give you that, actually.
like Fatal Attraction, or
Yeah.
so, you kind of go, "Ah, you idiot," and then their world just like
No, there's a great
But it was
fear
more
in
Funny
that.
Games.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it was the sexy version of Funny Games, and Keanu Reeves was great in it.
No, he
and-
wasn't.
He was.
The bit where he's-
Keanu Reeves is always great.
There was two bits
You
that
are
were
out of your mind.
There were two scenes which were particularly silly, where he was getting.
I'll go, Jeff! I'll go, Jeff! I'll go, Jeff! Turn it off! No, you're killing him!
Yeah, my ears. And then there was another one where he's getting stabbed, and he's like, "My surgery, my surgery."
That does not equal good acting.
No, but that is just two bits.
I think that's a script problem.
Anything Keanu does is great.
I just think Eli Roth can't make real interesting people, because I think that as a concept is perfect, and apparently it's a remake. I haven't seen the original, but as I do love those kind of thrillers, and I kind of miss like those kind of Fatal Attraction ones, but I just think Eli Roth cannot deliver a remotely believable human being. And I think that's because he has no soul.
Cabin Fever.
That makes sense.
You know, I quite like Cabin Fever, actually. I was excited by him when he arrived in the scene with Cabin Fever. I thought this is going to be good, and the remake of Cabin Fever is so bad.
I
It
know,
makes you
it's
realise
so
how much
bad.
better the original was.
They did a remake of it already?
Yeah.
Like, basically frame for frame as well.
Yeah,
Jeez.
and then buried it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
It's
no,
awful.
Cabin Fever, the original is. I didn't
But see,
drink
'cause he was
water.
having fun
I
with
stopped
that.
drinking water because of that movie.
But that Cabin Fever still disturbs as well, though. The gore scenes in that are proper get under your skin. When the girl's shaving her legs in the back,
Oh, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just like
Or when he's doing the fiddling.
that's not the hole you think it is.
Oh, that was nasty.
But
It
no,
was horrifying.
But do you not think, like, because like for me, that's why I don't have a huge issue against the Hostel films or anything.
I love that.
I like
Hostel.
What's the
Hostel.
one
I
he
thought-
did, the Green Inferno? But like, I think
haven't
the gore
seen
is
that,
done
actually.
fine in those. I just find the people totally.
Can
you
I?
know,
Can
Green
I? I've got a
Inferno.
Green
Flat.
Inferno story.
Go on.
It involves an old woman and a plane. So I was coming home from some film festival. So I had downloaded. You know the way you can on Netflix download.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, you download a few.
Yeah, you can
Oh, I didn't
download
know
it
that.
to your tablet. So I
Oh, that's
downloaded
cool.
Green Inferno while I was in, because it didn't come out on Irish Netflix. So I downloaded it when I was in whatever country I was in, and I decided that I would watch it on the plane, because I have absolutely no, respect for people when it comes to that. And so there was an old woman sitting beside me, and again, I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch Green Inferno. I was watching it. She kept looking over, and then I became aware that this very elderly woman was watching, what was on my screen, because she didn't have her screen.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was the scene where have you seen it?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it, no.
Okay, well, there's this amazing scene where the first person gets literally, butchered. Like, first this leg, then that arm, then this leg, then that arm, then his tongue, and it's like, it's an amazing scene. She vomited.
Oh no!
I made a woman vomit on a plane.
That is
I know.
awesome.
My dad was then later on, he told me, he was like,
I'm so proud of you, sweetie.
He was like, you could have been like arrested for that, because it was like total like, but yeah, made her vomit. So the Green Inferno, you should definitely
My
check
lesson from the Green Inferno is you can't film the Amazon jungle with digital.
Yeah.
It's again, it feels like there's those films like Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Ferox, all those cannibal movies it's kind of riffing off. They always had this sense that the filmmakers went into the wilderness
just
and
real.
It's almost like, I think as well, when you're filming, like an ancient tribe or something, there's something about
There's a
digital
disconnect visually. Like,
I watched In a Valley of Violence last night, the Ty West Western that he did after House of the Devil, when it came out a year or two ago. Ethan Hawke and John Travolta, but it's the same thing. It's just this pristine digital look, and I'm not against digital actually at all. And you can kind of play with it though to make it look a little less. But yeah, it was just so clear looking. It just didn't feel like a Western. They're just, I didn't buy it. I don't know why. It just felt like pretend people standing on set.
Absolutely.
Now maybe that is our bias though, because again, younger people growing up now who are just so used to watching digital, they don't have that separation.
Yeah.
You know,
True,
I don't know.
but
if that's
maybe
our
they're not
age.
experiencing it as profoundly as they would
Possibly.
if it was made like that. Like, I think we obviously notice because we're filmmakers, it's the medium we work in. But even if the average person who goes to cinema to see like In the Valley of Violence or any type of period movie that's shot on modern looking digital cameras, they might not go, oh, this looks weird because it's shot on digital, but they might go, this feels off.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it doesn't feel real because
Yeah.
like Fincher shoots digital, but his films still film TV series. Mindhunter being
Yeah,
amazing if you haven't seen it. Yeah, like they still feel they have a mood to them. I guess you just probably have to put a little bit more work into getting that across.
Yeah.
Any other order of business before we wrap up? Oh, you want to give out about Happy Death Day, do you?
Happy Death Day.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Who
Tell
has
me.
seen Happy Death Day?
No, I never got around to it.
Mark has seen it. Connor, have you not seen
I
it?
haven't seen it, but is it still out? Because I did
It's not in
want
the
to see
cinema.
it.
I think it's gone now.
Yeah, it
unfortunately.
was only in the cinema for a short time. For anyone who doesn't know the premise, it's basically like a Groundhog Day type of movie where a girl experiences the same day over and over again, and each day ends with her death. So she gets killed by some sort of serial killer. The trailer is fantastic.
I never
It's
saw the
amazing.
trailer.
The
Actually,
concept is really cool. I like even describing it. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a really cool movie. But I felt like the movie was really weak, and I felt it had absolutely no atmosphere or personality to it. And the main character was really just
Up herself.
not well. She was meant to be. There's meant to be this kind of
Right.
like stuck up kind of sorority.
Does she have to
girl.
learn to be
Yeah.
a nice
Like-
person?
like Groundhog
it is.
Day.
It is
You know,
basically Groundhog Day with horror.
except-
but without, yeah.
Except it's difficult because Groundhog Day is such a masterpiece that
Yeah.
when you're watching it, you're kind of going, well, yes, I knew Bill Murray was an asshole from minute one in Groundhog Day. I still couldn't wait to see him get his comeuppance. I couldn't wait to see him struggle.
But you loved watching him being an
I
asshole.
loved watching. I loved everything about it. But with this movie, any kind of lessons she does learn throughout it are so tacked on, and then the twist is the most unsatisfying damn squib. Like, you know,
It wasn't necessary at all. They could have just ended the film there.
Yeah,
Then,
they could have just.
No, it's a fun because I totally agree with you, and yet like I kind of saw Happy Death Day. So like part of the problem with any of these Groundhog Day ones, and then Day After Tomorrow as well, that did it well, is the repetition. Because you're kind of going, how much am I going to have to see
Exactly.
over and over
the same
again?
scene
you
kind
know,
of played out differently.
but
Yeah.
like there's not a massive amount of horror, I guess, so I could see horror fans being disappointed. I felt it just maybe wasn't a film for us, that was kind of more designed for like 17-year-old girls and maybe guys, and I kind of felt okay with it in that way. I know what you mean about all those things, and I don't think it's by no way a kind of a classic film, but I thought it was good enough, just a bit of fluffy fun, and at least there was something about her trying to figure herself out.
Yeah. See, I was expecting kind of a fluffy, fun kind of movie, and I was like, okay, this should be good crack, but it was boring, and I felt that the actual killing was really unsatisfying as well. Like there's this kind of montage in the middle where she's like trying to rule
killed a
out
whole load of
people, and she's killed a bunch of times, and you're kind of like, it doesn't do anything for me, you know.
No, it's not. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's not scary. It's not funny. You know, it doesn't really know what it is, and it felt like they had an amazing concept. I'd say it was really difficult to write that movie. You know, but I think it really kind of failed. Yeah. Not to be on a down note, but afterwards I was like, I watched because I watched it with my girlfriend, and the two of us were like, oh, that was really kind of shitty. So afterwards we watched the original Nightmare on Elm Street. She had never seen it before, and like talk about like a masterclass in storytelling, acting, atmosphere, horror,
Concept.
everything about it. It was just like the opposite ends of the spectrum, and because this did involve a movie where the girl was killed and then woke up to start her next day.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a similarity there, and they were just like worlds apart, you know.
Yeah.
But there's a couple other things that I watched as well recently. There's a documentary called The American Nightmare. Has anyone seen
Oh
that?
yeah.
Oh, is that the guys trying to make the low budget horror films?
No, it's
That's American movies.
Oh
Oh yeah, that's an American movie.
What's American Nightmare one again?
American Movie's brilliant, actually.
Yeah.
I saw that recently. But American Nightmare, it's a documentary that interviews John Carpenter, Wes Craven, Toby Hooper.
Oh, is this an older kind of one? I think I have it on one of my special
It
features.
was
Yeah,
on
kind of like the
Netflix
90s
for
or
a
something
bit,
like
yeah.
that. It was made in the 90s. But it's kind of all about
Connecting it to Vietnam and stuff.
their films and connecting it to what was happening in America at the time.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Horathon. I think.
Toby Hooper has this great story about how he came up with the idea for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he was saying that he was in a hardware store one day and
packed.
It was packed. The place like flooded with like customers, and he was like, "How the fuck would I get out of here if I have to just barge out of here?" And he said he was standing over a bunch of chainsaws, and he was like, immediately the entire like skeleton of Texas Chainsaw Massacre just came. The characters, the beginning, middle, and end, and some of the texture of the movie as well. And he was just like, that's a good idea for me.
I love that because he doesn't expect, because like the implication is kind of like, okay, it's just you're feeling packed, so you cut your way out, and I'm like, we felt claustrophobic there. When he says like the whole idea came to him, I was like, did he think about wearing their faces on the way out? Because That's a new level of like, I need to get out of this shop. But I'm not going.
I'm going to enjoy myself while I do it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no. I saw the Rings remake, unfortunately. I saw the Rings remake, the Martyrs remake, and the Cabin Fever remake. And I suppose Rings isn't a remake as such, but it's trying to relaunch a franchise. I have to admit, I thought they were all pretty abysmal.
Wait, what's Rings?
The new Samara, or Sadako.
So not
As in, like, The
Naomi,
Ring.
not Naomi Watts, but like a remake of Naomi
Well,
Watts.
it's a follow-on, a separate. It's trying to start off a new franchise. It was
An
Blumhouse trying to
American?
push it, yeah, and it just was.
Actually,
just didn't work at all.
now that you say that, I feel like I faintly remember.
They just kind of buried it. I don't know, was it the director of Elite Squad or something? They had a good director for it, but like it just.
This isn't Rings versus Grudge. That's a different thing.
that's the Japanese side of things, which actually is a better film.
Okay.
In a weird
Wow.
way.
Wait,
it's a bit of a laugh to watch.
Which is the
The
better film,
Ring versus Grudge, Sadako versus Kayako, where the two of them take each other on.
Yeah. That must be the slowest fight. It must be
Yes.
like two
Oh, no,
snails.
that sounds-
Sort of.
It's on Shudder.
Where Samara and the
Grudge bad one and the Sadako, but then, yeah.
That kid. Oh my god! What's it called?
So it's Sadako versus Kayako. So it's the Japanese versions now. So they made it over there, but it's on Shudder, and it is like it takes a while to get there, but honestly, yeah, it's a bit of fun. It's kind of what you expect, like, and the battle between them is late in the day and it's silly, but you kind of go in knowing it's like Freddy vs. Jason. It's going to be a bit of a laugh as opposed to.
I just want to say something about Shudder. First of all, we need to get Crownwood on Shudder.
Yes.
Second of all, curator's choice for Halloween, From the Dark and Stitches.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Or,
Yeah.
yeah. They have curators come in and do ones, and like, both of them are on this month's
Nice.
selection, along beside Eyes of My Mother and a few other
Oh my
great fucking horror
god!
films.
Yes.
Have you seen it? It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Connor and me were big fans of that. when it
Yeah, I
first
really
came out.
like that.
Yeah, I showed it to Kat, and actually, like, she appreciated it, but she was very bothered by it.
Was she?
Yeah, and it's weird though because it is a very disturbing film, but there isn't a massive amount of on-screen stuff. It's just the tone and the relentlessness of it.
It's literally her
Yeah.
facial expressions.
It just gets you.
But the guy being chained, he
unhinged.
still kind of haunts me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the images stick in your brain.
Yeah.
Though, don't it? It kind of made me realize how you need those. Just like, okay, they're very stylish kind of shots,
Yeah.
but when I think of any of the films that I love, it's certain shots that stick to you, like The Exorcist when he arrives outside the house with the light shine. Like, it can be a bit much, and yet you do need them. They're what hold in people's heads. The same with The Shining. Like it is images at the end of the day that stick with people even much more than the story.
Yeah.
Completely.
But yeah, so definitely, like Shudder. I've seen a few people online kind of complaining about Shudder, but I think most of them only tried it when it first launched. Like they're constantly expanding it, and I've started watching some of their original stuff as well as things. And you know what? It's worth watching because they pick up films obviously from around the world. So usually maybe they're a bit more foreign, but like they're interesting films.
I
Like,
literally
you know,
just got my Shudder account about a month ago, and it's brilliant. And one of the things that struck me about it was just even going through the list of films.
Yeah.
There's so many horror films on it that over the years, before kind of you were able to get stuff online and order stuff online, there's so much stuff on it that I would have just always been seeking out, going, where the hell could I find it? Cannibal
and these are the
Apocalypse or
beautiful
Death Dream?
like Blu-ray
Necromancy.
remastered versions that they have up there. Like
Exactly. They're
it's
all
Arrow. It's the same ones you'd get on the Arrow Blu-rays, like that they've got up there of
Yeah.
zombie flesh eaters, contamination.
exactly like it's such an amazing selection. Have you got an account, Conor?
No, but I need
You
to.
need to. You're the curator's
I would
choice.
say for anyone who does have Shudder, the top tip I'd have for it is What Have You Done to Solange? It's a giallo film that, like, I had totally skipped over me, except I remember Arrow pushing it when they released it on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
It's like, if you like your giallos, it's a really good one. Really caught me off guard, and quite dark. But definitely a really strong 70s kind of giallo one. So what did you do to Solange? I think, or what happened? Yeah, what have they done to Solange? Which just has such a weird connotation.
What have they done? I need to know.
Have to know.
Yeah,
Have to
you
know. Have to
assume
watch
the
it.
worst, don't you? There's just something about it. But so, like, I would definitely say check that one out.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Don't die.